Hi students, Mr. Metelsky here, and this video will be covering how to use the slope formula. So I've written the basic formula for you here, and when you're given 2 points for the slope formula, we usually refer to the first one as x1, y1, and the second one as x2, y2. These little numbers here, the 1 and 2, really don't mean anything other than the name of the point. So don't get hung up on those. And the formula itself is we take the y values from the 2 points. We take the second y value minus the first y value. So this point, or this coordinate minus this coordinate here. And then we divide that by the difference in the x coordinates. So we take x2 and we subtract x1. That goes in the denominator. Oftentimes you might hear slope referred to as change in y over change in x. Slope is also referred to by the letter m. Alright, so let's take a look. I have 2 examples that we're going to go through to see how we actually use the slope formula. So here's our first example. We have 2 points, -3, 2, and 6, 6. So what I did was, to help us visualize, I actually put a little piece of graph paper here so that we can draw the points. So the first point is -3, 2. So that would be right here. The next coordinate is 6, 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 5, 6. So that's up here. So slope is a measure of steepness, or a measure of change when we're looking at a graph. So if I were to draw a line between these 2 points, the slope formula is going to help us identify how that line increases or decreases from left to right. So what we're going to do is we're going to label our coordinates, and this is important. We'll label the first one x1, y1, and the second one x2, y2. Then we're going to write our slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, if you're the type of person that likes to color code, we'll go ahead and do that here. And we'll say that x1 is here, y1 is here, x2 goes here, and y2 goes here. So we're going to plug those values directly into where the colors go. So the slope formula involves a fraction where there's subtraction in the numerator and subtraction in the denominator. So I'm just carrying these signs. And I like to consider this sort of like the framework. So the green y2 goes first. That happens to be 6. Minus the y1 value, that's the blue, which is 2. Over x2, which is orange, that's 6. And x1, which is yellow, that was -3. Just going to put that in parentheses to show that that was a negative number. And now we simplify. The top, or the numerator, 6 minus 2 is 4. And the denominator, 6 minus -3 is 9. Okay, so that means for every 4 units, we go up, because positive means up. We move 9 units to the right. Okay? We can actually verify that if you're not convinced that that's the steepness of the slope by going from one point to the other, going up 4 and over 9. So take a look at how I do this on the graph. So up 4, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. That would put me up there. And then over 9. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. See how I get to the next point at that spot. So that is our slope value. It's positive 4 over 9. And we know that it's positive because as we move from left to right on the graph, it's increasing or going up. So that's our first example. Let's take a look at another example. Here we have 5, 0 and 5, -4. So again, we start out the same way. We're going to write out x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to jot our formula down. And you'll become very familiar with this formula because we use it so many times. Again, if it helps you to color code, we could go ahead and do that. So we can color code x1, y1. Of course, when you get really good at this, you won't have to do color coding. It's optional, but I find it helpful sometimes. X2 is this one, and y2. So now we're going to write our framework. Fraction with subtraction in the numerator and denominator. And we're going to go ahead and plug in. So y2 is -4. Put that in parentheses just to show that it's negative. y1 is blue, so that's 0. And then in the denominator we have x2, which is 5. Minus x1, which is 5. So we have -4 minus 0 in the numerator, which is -4, over 5 minus 5 in the denominator, which is 0. And 4 divided by 0 is not 0. Be careful with that. 4 divided by 0 is undefined. Now, you might be saying, well, that's weird. Why did we get a number for this? Well, this really means that from one point to the next, we go down 4 and right 0 units. So think about what that might mean. If we go down, but we don't go left or right any. Well, let's graph these points and see what it looks like. So 5, 0 would be right here. And 5, -4 would be right here. And if we graph this and draw a line to check out the slope, do you see how it's a vertical line? So when you're dealing with a vertical line, it has an undefined slope, meaning we can't measure it because it's completely straight up and down. So remember, whenever you're using the slope formula, I find it helpful to write the formula down. Make sure you label your coordinates underneath, and then you plug in. So you can be very methodical about it and do the same thing over and over again. And as long as you keep doing that process, you'll make sure that you end up with the correct answer. All right, good luck.